Several Asian American athletes will represent the United States in this year's Summer Olympics in Tokyo. But the surge in anti-Asian hate in the U.S. over the past year has taken a toll on some of the competitors. In a recent Axios article, the founder of Stop AAPI Hate, Russell Jung, said Asian Americans occupy, quote, a conditional status of belonging because they are seen as foreigners. This forces these athletes to represent a country that does not fully accept them unless they excel in their sport. For more on this, I want to bring in Russell Contreras. He's a race and justice reporter for Axios. Hi there, Russell. Thanks very much for being with us. In your piece, you report how several Asian American Olympians have experienced bigotry here in the U.S. What did they describe?
Well, at least two said they've had these episodes of hate or discrimination and endured some sort of racial slur. Sakura Kokumai, for example, a karate gold medalist candidate, said she was jogging in the park preparing for a workout and someone yelled racial slurs at her. Then you had Yoel Muldair. He is a gymnast and another gold medal candidate. He said he was just driving in traffic and somebody cut him off and then said something like, go back to China. Now, these are two Asian American athletes who are Americans, the elite of elite in the nation, training to represent their country and yet facing discrimination and some sort of anti-AAPI hate. This is indicative of what the Asian American athlete has to endure in the United States. And then the irony is that they're going to Asia to represent the United States. Both of these athletes, however, handled both issues with class. Yoel said, look, I realize that incident is not indicative of all Americans, and I'm competing for the Americans that support me and see me as one of them. But, it has to take a toll. We know that snowboarder Chloe Kim said recently she was facing a lot of hateful messages on Instagram through direct messages, and it was taking a mental toll on her. But this is the duality that a lot of Asian American athletes have to face at what's the stakes of representing your country, but also remaining focused. Now, the Olympics are very highly competitive. They do not want to show mental weakness and give their opponents any edge, but they're definitely entering the competition with class and grace so far.
Yeah. And Russell, you touched on this a moment ago. So this year's Summer Olympics are being held in Tokyo. The Winter Olympics in 2022 will be held in Beijing. So how does that affect the dynamic for these Asian American athletes?
So each of these cases, we can probably be rest assured that in 2022, the issue of the pandemic won't go away. We know that the majority of the world is still struggling with vaccinations. I believe, and most of us believe, by next year, that will still be a looming issue for us. If Asian Americans are going to continue to compete, and they will compete in Beijing, the cloud of the pandemic will be over us, and they will continue to face racist taunts because of the pandemic. Many of these athletes say, just like Asian Americans in the United States, they're being unfairly blamed for the pandemic. They're facing racial taunts. And having these Winter Olympics next year go to Beijing is not going to erase this. What it will do is bring more pressure and more attention as they compete and compete well. They are at the same time giving Asian American children in the United States hope and serving as role models, because up until now, we've had very few Asian American athletes in high profile positions, positioning themselves to tell other Asian Americans, hey, you can be here too. So there's a duality where there's a lot of pressure, but there's also opportunity, and many of these athletes feel that they're going to seize it.
Well, more broadly, Russell, I know you've reported on this. Americans of Asian and Pacific Islander descent are underrepresented in professional sports, despite the fact that the AAPI community is growing in the U.S. Why is that?
Well, the Aspen Institute recently did a study, and they show that of all racial and ethnic groups in the United States, Asian Americans quit sports at the earliest age as opposed to others. Many times we stereotype Asian Americans. They then are taunted on the sports field, and they're more likely to quit sports at an early age as opposed to other ethnic groups. What's astonishing right now, what we're seeing, we have anecdotal evidence, is that Asian Americans are entering sports earlier and staying, whether it's soccer, t-ball, baseball, basketball. This is different. And what's interesting is that the United States has a long history of Asian Americans being in sports, despite the discrimination we face. One of the things we found in the Axios story that I was astonished to find is that many the Japanese internment camps during World War II had baseball teams that were competitive. They were allowed to compete against each other. They were very popular on these various camps. But here was the catch. They could only leave the internment camp if they were in their uniforms. And if they took their uniforms off, they risk being arrested.
Wow, I didn't realize that. It was only in reading your previous piece on it that I learned of that particular aspect of American history. So as you've noted, exclusion in sports is something that you've reported starts at a young age. Can you talk a bit more, Russell, about how these stereotypes affect AAPI children and the kinds of sports opportunities that they pursue and then are or are not offered later in life?
Well, they're definitely tracked at a younger age, and this is both external and internal. As I mentioned, many children experience racial taunts, racist taunts when they're on, say, the baseball field or football field, and their parents often discourage them from sports because they don't see a path for success. Many Japanese Americans I talked to said, you know, the looming crisis over the internment camp is still haunts them. And they'd say, look, at any time we could be detained for no reason. Therefore, you need to position yourself with a professional job and get the cultural capital in case you need to escape. At the same time, we have schools not giving Asian American athletes in high schools a second look. If someone's good in tennis or basketball, they may not get a look that, say, other ethnic groups are getting. So I think there is a revolution going on among Asian Americans to say, look, we deserve to be here. We're going to compete at a high level. And we're starting to see that at the collegiate level, too. But it remains to be seen if Asian Americans can overcome these stereotypes at a time that the community is under increasing amount of pressure with the hate as a result of the pandemic and the racist backlash.
It's really important context, Russell, as we watch these AAPI Olympians compete. Russell Contreras for us. Russell, thank you.
Thanks for having me.